I'm Tim Singleton, Strive Technology Consulting. Today I'm going to talk about how to know if your cybersecurity is any good. The number one biggest problem in designing a good cybersecurity is not the hackers, it's not the users. Like, those are all dangers. The biggest problem in having good cybersecurity is shiny object syndrome. This sounds really cool, we got to go put this in. I just came back from a conference. They told us we all need this thing. We got to go put this in. So when you're building out your cybersecurity model, you think, I've got to have antivirus, right? I've got to have a firewall. I got to have some basic stuff. Let's just throw in some tools. Then we're secure, right? The question you find yourself in is, do I have a big enough pile of cyber tools to protect me against all the hackers? And that's the wrong way of thinking about it. You need a framework. You need a way of thinking about, how do I know whether I'm secure or not? It's not the size of the pile, right? First thing you need is to identify what you've got. Everybody says, like, yeah, I got antivirus on all my stuff. Great. How did you get hacked? Well, it turns out there was a computer off in the corner that was just doing one thing, and we forgot about it, so we didn't put antivirus on it. Well, great. You got hacked because of that. So you need to identify everything you've got, or else you don't know what's at risk. Step 2, protect it. When anybody thinks about cybersecurity, this is the step they think of. This is antivirus, this is firewall, this is what can we do to keep the hackers out. So now that you've identified everything, you know what you need to protect. Step 3 is detect. You have to assume the hackers are going to get in. So you got to figure out, how do I detect whether a hacker has got into my system? And that is different from saying, how do I keep them out to begin with? So if a hacker gets in, he's going to try to get from this computer to this computer to that computer, and then elevate his privileges a little bit, and then move around again. All that is perfectly fine behavior that an antivirus is going to say, yeah, no problem. But software that detects what hackers are doing, they're going to see that, and they're like, yeah, normal people don't do that. So you need some sort of software or policies or procedures to help you detect whether the hackers are already in there. It takes, depending on what they're doing, somewhere around 90 days between the time when they get into your system and the time when they actually launch the ransomware. They're looking around trying to figure out what you've got. They're looking around for your cybersecurity insurance policy, trying to figure out what your policy limits are so they know how much to ask for. They're looking around to see if they can shut off your backups. Like, they're taking a lot of time once they've gotten in just to see what they got. So you've got some time to detect what's going on before they actually do anything bad, often. So this is a big, important step. Let's assume this doesn't work and you've been breached. Can you detect them? Yes, maybe, hopefully. Once you've detected, how do you respond? How do you, do you know what to do? If you walk in and all your computers are all blacked out and they say, you've got to pay us a lot of Bitcoin, does everybody know what the next steps are to do? Because it's not like, oh my God, what do I do, right? That's the very worst time to figure out how to deal with a hack is when you're dealing with a hack. This should be planned out in advance. So have cybersecurity insurance. Call them. Figure out what they say. Like, say, hey, let's pretend I just got hacked. What do I do? Ask your cybersecurity insurance guy this question. What do I do next? The question is, how do you respond? There are ways to do it. The most important thing is that you've thought about it in advance to some degree. And then finally is recover. So let's say you've figured out that they're in, you've kicked them out. Now what do? Do you restore from backup? Do you talk to all of the people that have now had their identity stolen? Like, how do you recover your business back to where it was before? You take this, identify these 5 steps, and you do that for all the devices in your network, for all the applications that you have, for all the networks that you have, if you've got multiple networks, if you've got your own business network and you've got Google network, or you've got 2 different offices. You want to do this for all your networks. You want to figure out all your data. You want to do these 5 steps for all your data and for all your users. So that's what the process looks like. And this is how you put together a strong cybersecurity framework. Notice as you move left, or as you move right rather, you rely less and less on technology, and you rely more and more on people. So it's really easy to run some software that will find all of your computers and that will identify all your data. It's really hard to rely on a bunch of technology that can figure out how to respond to a hack. That's very people driven. And so just kind of keep an eye on that. Is this stuff you can do with tech. This stuff you do with people. And you need to have those people already lined up and knowledgeable about your system. And then process happens all throughout. It's not just, do I know what's going on here? It's, do I have a written process that everybody that's going to be involved knows how to find? If you leave here, you're going to say, cool, I know some stuff. I'm going to just leave you some actual very practical tips. Step one is go back and just write down some things. Start to create some lists, right? List of software, list of hardware, list of networks, and that includes whatever clouds you're using, Dropbox, Google, Microsoft, and a list of users. After you've got your lists, you want to sort of draw out how your data flows around. And so if you can map out where your data flows, you'll be in a much better place to create all these lists and know exactly where everything is, whether it's protected, talk to your vendors, do they all have good protections, that kind of thing. Next step is, for each item that you've got here, ask yourself, is it protected? Will I know if it's been attacked? And is it backed up? And then finally write out a plan. And the plan can be as simple as call my cybersecurity insurance company and my lawyer and all the managers at my company. It might be that easy. Like if you just have the phone numbers on a physical piece of paper written down and stored in your desk at the office and at home, because if you get into the office and everything is ransomware, you can't get onto the file where all this stuff is stored. So print out, at minimum, print that out, give everybody a copy of that. There's a whole lot more in depth you can do. A lot of insurance companies will give you, it's what's called an incident response plan. They'll give you kind of a template for that just so you know what to do. But that's the idea. That's how you know whether you have just a pile of cybersecurity tools or an actual framework where you know I'm covered all the way around.